Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. Okay, let's dive into this, because today we are going to completely flip the script on how we look at education. I mean, instead of seeing school as just this endless series of standardized tests or mandatory hours spent trapped at a desk waiting for the bell to ring, what if we viewed the classroom as a secret training ground? Today, we're taking those daily, sometimes totally ordinary school lessons, and we're connecting them directly to incredibly exciting, real-world careers. It's a completely different framework, and it fundamentally reshapes the entire purpose of waking up and going to class, because it gives immediate, tangible value to the time you spend learning.
Look, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, almost every single one of us has sat at a desk, stared at a whiteboard or some massive textbook, and asked ourselves this exact question: why do I actually need to learn this? It is the universal grievance of going to school, right? Whether you're a student right now navigating a heavy workload, or you're an adult looking back on your own school days, you've definitely felt that huge disconnect between what you're doing in the classroom and the so-called real world. It can feel incredibly frustrating when the application just isn't obvious, but there is a brilliant counter-narrative here. Think of it as a secret playbook. It validates that frustration right out of the gate, acknowledging that the disconnect is absolutely real, but then it offers a totally new, empowering lens to view your entire educational journey through.
And here is the big reveal, the real secret of this framework. School subjects are actually super jobs. Literally everything you learn is helping you prepare for amazing things in the future. I love this framing because it's so energetic and just brilliantly simple. It takes mundane, everyday classroom stuff and turns it into a secret training ground for building real-world superpowers. It totally shifts the paradigm. You aren't just memorizing random facts for a Friday quiz, you are actively building a utility belt of crucial skills. Every single lesson, no matter how small it seems in the moment, is a stepping stone that's going to allow you to do incredible, world-changing things later on. It's a massive perspective shift that turns passive listening into active, purposeful preparation.
Let's start with a subject that, let's face it, often gets a bad rap for being a bit too rigid: math. Rebranded simply and effectively as math power, this framework transforms repetitive counting and measuring into foundational building blocks. When you're first learning to add fractions or measure angles, yeah, it might feel completely detached from reality. But who uses these exact skills out in the wild? Well, architects use them every single day to design those towering, structurally sound buildings that completely define our city skylines. Engineers rely on these precise calculations to build massive bridges that safely connect entire communities. The basic math skills getting drilled into us in the classroom, they are the exact same foundational tools required for these high-stakes, incredibly important careers. And this brilliantly illustrates a fantastic surprise factor. Math isn't just for hard hats, calculators, and blueprints. No way. If you want to be a master chef creating culinary masterpieces in a high-end restaurant, you absolutely need math power. Think about it. Measuring ingredients precisely, scaling complex recipes way up for a busy weekend dinner rush, calculating exact cooking times, and dealing with fluctuating oven temperatures, that is all applied mathematics. It proves that quantitative skills apply directly to highly creative, hands-on, and frankly delicious professions. Mathematics provides the hidden, reliable structure right behind the vibrant art of cooking. Moving out of the kitchen and into the laboratory, let's look at science power. The whole core purpose of science is fundamentally about understanding the physical and natural world around us, right? It's about asking questions and testing hypotheses, and the super jobs attached to this way of thinking are literal lifesavers. Doctors use the scientific method every single day to accurately diagnose illnesses, formulate treatment plans, and keep us healthy. Environmental scientists use these very same classroom principles to monitor ecosystems, protect our planet, and fight climate change. And inventors? They use scientific methods to relentlessly test new ideas and create world-changing innovations. Science gives you the adaptable tools you need to protect, heal, and innovate in the real world.
Now let's pivot over to literacy with reading and writing power. Learning to read and write is not just about passing a spelling test. It is fundamentally about sharing ideas and learning from the experiences of other people. It is the ultimate human superpower, communication. And this maps directly to critical careers built on storytelling and truth-seeking. Authors write books that expand our empathy and transport us to entirely different worlds. Meanwhile, journalists write news stories that keep society informed, uncover important truths, and hold power accountable. Every single grammar lesson, every structural edit, and every reading comprehension worksheet, that is basic training for these vital society-shaping roles.
But here is where it gets really interesting. Writing isn't just for traditional novelists or investigative reporters. Writing is also an absolute necessity for video game designers.
I mean, every single immersive open-world game you play has a massive, complex script behind it. The characters need authentic dialogue, the virtual worlds need rich lore, and the quests need compelling narratives just to keep players engaged. Highlighting this specific example proves that writing applies to unexpected, highly entertaining, and cutting-edge tech fields. It perfectly bridges the gap between a very traditional academic pursuit and a modern, rapidly evolving industry. It proves that strong communication is literally the bedrock of modern entertainment.
Next up is art power. Now, sometimes art classes are unfairly brushed off as just a fun break from the heavy academic subjects, just a chance to relax. But actually, drawing, painting, and creating are serious, highly employable skills that drive the global economy. These creative tasks map directly to visual and fashion-oriented career paths that influence our daily lives. Graphic designers use these exact visual communication skills to create logos and brand identities for massive global companies. Illustrators bring children's books, graphic novels, and beautiful animations to life. And fashion designers use art and spatial awareness to conceptualize the clothes we wear every day. Human creativity is, for sure, the backbone of massive multi-billion-dollar global industries.
So the crucial point is that even the subjects that feel strictly theoretical have immense, tangible, practical applications. Take social studies power, for example. In the classroom, you're learning about history, geography, and different cultures primarily to understand people and how societies function over time. So how does this translate to modern superjobs? Well, historians obviously study the past to help us contextualize the present and avoid repeating past mistakes. But consider city planners. They actually use a profound understanding of human history, societal needs, and complex cultural dynamics to physically design the functional communities and neighborhoods we live in. It's a brilliantly practical job connection rooted entirely in the empathy and understanding you cultivate in social studies.
Now, to ground all of this theoretical framework, let's take a breath and look at a specific, heartfelt case study, an origin story. I want you to meet Alex. This is where the abstract concept of classroom subjects equaling real-world superjobs becomes a highly relatable, tangible human narrative. By focusing on a single individual's journey, from a school desk to a professional office, we can see exactly how the foundational blocks laid down in an early classroom setting ripple outwards over time. It beautifully illustrates how these early sparks of interest eventually shape an entire life and career trajectory.
Let's move to and see how this builds across Alex's life. We'll start back in early childhood. As a young kid, Alex simply loved playing with numbers in math class. He was naturally drawn to solving complex puzzles and finding patterns. Now fast forward to adulthood, and that exact nurtured classroom interest led him directly to become a financial planner. And what is the ultimate real-world impact of that job? His refined math superpower now helps real families manage their hard-earned money, secure their livelihoods, and confidently plan their futures. It's a perfect, modern hero's journey that shows exactly how a childhood classroom passion directly translates into a life-changing, deeply impactful career.
Which brings us to the ultimate core message of this framework: learning with purpose. The big takeaways here are crystal clear, and honestly, they apply to learners of all ages. First, every single lesson develops essential transferable skills. Second, every project you tackle, no matter how difficult, prepares you for countless potential jobs down the line. But the absolute most important element of all is knowing your why. Because when you stop seeing education as a mandatory chore and start seeing it as a vital, active stepping stone, a place where you are intentionally acquiring your future superpowers, the entire experience transforms into something incredibly motivating and deeply rewarding.
Which brings us to the final call to action, and a question I really want to leave you with today. What is your absolute favorite school subject? And when you look at the real world, what job do you think uses that subject a lot? I challenge you to look inward and identify your own developing superpower. Remember, the knowledge and the skills you are building today, right now, are the absolute foundation for the amazing things you are going to achieve tomorrow. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep discovering exactly what your unique powers are going to be. Thanks for exploring this empowering framework with me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.